survive. I want folk that know how to live. Let me help you here. The one thing that I know about African American culture is because I'm amalgamated in it. I am an African American. I might be a little lighter than some and darker than others, but I'm black to my heart, black to my core. The one thing that I know about my folk, my people, is that my people have learned how to survive. And that's great. That's a good thing that we've learned how to survive with nothing. But it's also been very damaging too. Because black folk have learned how to survive without the black man being in the house, they think that it's okay. Oh, but the devil is a lie. Baby, don't you ever start to think that the black man don't need to be in the house. That Negro need to be in the house. And just because mama and big mama and great grandmama raised you with no black man in the house don't mean it's right. It means it's wrong, but you had to do what you had to do. Just because we have raised a culture of individuals that have learned that they didn't have to go to college to make green beans and string potatoes. Just because you learn how to feed yourself on no college degree does not mean that your child does not need to go to college. That is the most dangerous thinking that we've promulgated, is that we learn how to survive with less, and because we've survived with less, we don't want no more. And the most dangerous Negro to deal with in all your life is somebody that don't want nothing more than they got right now. You better tell the devil, I ain't surviving no more. The black man got to come back in the house. Folk better go to college. You better wake up and realize where you are. And God never called you to survive. He called you to live. Hallelujah. Please be seated. Let me work my case. I'm almost up out of here. And so. The thing that I realized that is most critical about this is that Jesus is trying to deal with this particular blind man that has a convoluted experience, and he cannot see further than where he lives. Where he lives, there is trouble. Where he lives, he's had wrong vision. Where he lives, there's negative and pejorative means. And the question that Jesus asked him, what do you see, is indicative of the second question. And this particular question is the question that your neighbor is asking about themselves. Don't look at your neighbor, stay looking at me so they don't know you know what's going on. But the question that your neighbor is constantly asking is why am I like this? Why am I like this? Why am I so unhappy? I can come to church and still be unhappy. I can hear a message and still be unhappy. I can watch you sing, dance, pray, preach, holler, scream, and it still don't move my heart. Why am I like this? Why can't I trust nobody no more? I know I've had some bad experiences, but I don't trust anybody. I don't trust folk that I'm supposed to trust. I don't trust my partner in my relationships. I don't trust my job. I don't even trust my child. I don't trust nobody. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? That's the question that your neighbor is asking. And because your neighbor had the audacity to ask that question up in here, I got to answer for you. The reason why you're like this is because you still don't see people clearly. You still don't see them clearly. You still see men walking around like trees. And as long as you see folk walking around like trees, you're going to treat everybody like they're a tree and you a stub. Like they're bigger and you're insignificant. Like you're not great as them, but you're less than them. You're going to treat everybody else either better or worse than you treat yourself because you still don't see straight. And the real issue when we talk about your vision as it relates to the fact that you're still seeing people the wrong way is very indicative of the relationship that you have with God. Let me tell you something. Half the folk that run around here have a choice to make, and the choice is even on the pew with you right now. Your neighbor has two choices to make. The first is, will I be blessed or will I just be comfortable? Will I survive? And half the folk that run around here, Deacon, talk about they blessed, don't even know what blessing is. They ain't never been blessed. They ain't never seen a blessing. They ain't never been touched by God to be blessed. Half the folk that are in the church right now that scream I'm blessed ain't never been blessed. Let me explain why. Because blessing not relative to your happiness. See, the church has told folk that if you're happy, you're blessed. Oh, but let me tell you something about blessing. Blessing ain't got nothing to do about being happy. Blessing ain't got nothing to do about being happy. Please help me in here. Look at somebody and tell them, blessing ain't got nothing to do about you being happy. It ain't got nothing to do with that. How can you say that, preacher? How can you say that? Let me help you in here. Let me help you here. Because every person who has truly been blessed was not happy when they got the blessing. Oh, my Lord. Every person that has ever stood underneath the weight of a blessing was not happy with their blessing. There was a gentleman by the name of Job who was rich, who was prosperous, who had all the money in the world. And the moment that Negro had the audacity to think that he was blessed, the Bible said God came and took everything from him. Put sickness in his body, put worry in his heart. Even his own wife told him, cuss God and die, you crazy man. But the man looked back at the woman and said, I will not cuss the God that giveth, because the same God that giveth can take away. And I realized that my blessing is not contingent upon me being happy. It's contingent upon the relationship that I have with the blesser. Let me tell you about the blessing. Y'all still don't believe it? Let me work my case here. The second individual that's real important to understand is a man by the name of Abram, not Abraham, but Abram. One day God finds favor with Abram, and he looks at Abram, who was already rich. He was already wealthy. He already had land. He already had money. He already had a prestige. He already had a college degree. He was doing good by himself. But some big bad God came up to him and said, Abraham, do you want to be blessed? And Abram had never even knew what blessing was. So of course he said, yeah, let me find out what this blessing is. And watch what God did. God said, well, if you want to be blessed, I want you to pack up only what you can take with you. That's all you can take. Only what you can take with you. Then I want you to leave your mama and your daddy and your credit card and your car and your apartment and your college degree, because where I'm getting ready to take you, ain't none of that stuff gonna be relative. And the Bible said Abraham wandered around the desert for over 10 years not knowing where he was going. And you can't tell me being lost is a happy experience. Oh my Lord. I know when I get lost, I get mad. When I get lost, I get frustrated. When I get lost, I start cussing. And so I know that Abraham must have felt just like I feel when I'm lost. And this God who said he's going to bless me has just now taken me through all these other changes. But I heard Abraham, when he finally got to the place that God said was flowing with milk and honey, Abraham said, yeah, the money's good, the land is nice, but there's one thing that I've realized about God, and that is God is my provider. And what does he provide? He don't just provide money, he provides peace. Let me tell somebody something up in here. Baby, you need peace more than you need money. You need peace more than you need a house. You need peace more than you need a man. If you get the man and ain't got no peace, you got a man with hell. If you get the job and ain't got no peace, you got a job from hell. Baby, the next thing you need to ask God for is give me the peace to endure where I'm at. And that's the reason why Paul said, I've learned to be content in whatever state that I'm in. Oh, I'm just talking about 5 of y'all, because I know somebody in here still wants to be blessed. But let me tell you about a blessing. A blessing is nothing more than a weight of glory pushed down against you. Anybody that's ever been blessed has been stressed. Anybody that's ever been blessed has cried. Anybody that's ever been blessed has been alone. Anybody that's ever been blessed has been forsaken. And so if you're really asking God to bless you, what you're saying, God, is press me down, step on me, mistreat me with people, use me up. But after you've done all of these things, put me back together again and make me feel like I did when I first met you. Hallelujah. Let me get up out of here. The next thing that we have to consider is that any blessing is not with compromise. To be blessed is with no compromise. Half the folk that talk about blessed is really talking about comfortability